Welcome back everybody. It's been a long time since I've done one of my little tutorial videos, but I'm going to do one today with the assistance of my cat. I'm hoping she doesn't get in the way too much, but she's very insistent on sitting on my lap at the moment. We've got a very upside down house with renovation work going on, so I will do my best to lead you through. Jim Mullen, solo on Laurence Cottle's 5 Seasons. I first heard this track, well this album in fact, in the mid-90s when I was a student, and it's taken me all this time to get around to learning one of Jim Mullen's solos from this track in its entirety. He plays another solo in the track over a longer, more sort of, well it's a longer section, but it covers more changes. This one's basically over F7th. And just in this short little solo you get some unbelievably cool ideas happening. So in order to achieve the tone, I don't know whether he was using, I think he was probably using one of his archtops playing, but he was known for using a telly in the 80s. But I used my telly just to sort of get I found it gave me the sort of tone that I was after, and I'm basically doing a DI sort of thing straight into the desk via the preamp on my Axe effects. Again, I think it sounds like it was a DI sound. The other thing to note about Jim Mullen is he plays with his thumb, all downstrokes. Well, I can barely play it with a plectrum, so I had to play it with a plectrum. There was no way I could play it with my thumb. Yeah, anyway, this is a very cool piece of Brit jazz funk from the early 90s, 92 I think this album came out in. Yeah, Jim's solo is over this F7th groove. And he plays some fairly bluesy stuff in there, but he also plays some really hip diminished things, quite a few outside things. So I'll sort of try and give you a bit of a guide you through some of the ideas that he's using. I'll move myself back onto the chair a bit more, so hopefully the cat won't fall off my lap. And if she gets in my way, I'll have to chuck her on the floor. So what we get is the opening phrase. This is all blues stuff, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Lots of, because of the nature of Jim's technique, he does a lot of sort of sliding up and down the neck. Anyway, as you can hear, that's really simple blues stuff, and this lick here, that's very, very typical of him. He then goes into this thing that sounds, this first idea that sort of goes slightly out of key. So he sort of plays it's almost like a D flat major pentatonic thing. And then bends back into that sort of F blues thing. And then he does, which is also that's back into sort of blues scale. And then he plays this. So this thing here, chromatically that sort of G flat, then back down F. Bluesy sliding, stuff like that. So I mean, most of that is all self-explanatory. The first really kind of weird thing that he plays is this. I see that to be like a G diminished scale. So, and I think what happens is he ends up playing, which is that's how that's what the diminished thing is running into. And what he's playing there is basically a C melodic minor idea. Because we're in F7th, that makes it sound like F7 sharp 11, you know, Lydian flat 7, if you will. But I think possibly that using that G idea, so that's sort of that G7th basically is leading us into play a C minor idea. So you get C minor, slides up to G flat. I think that might actually be a mistake, but he makes it sound cool anyway. So it's like a blue note on it's a flat 5 of a C minor. So he just hangs on it. So over that F7 he's playing that, which is quite dissonant. but he gets out of it by doing this. So that's almost like a, because of A flat major, I suppose, with a bit of chromaticism. Then he plays this more bluesy. I mean, that is, again, that's quite chromatic. It's all around blues F, but with passing notes. Kind of, sort of F Dorian, I suppose, because he's got that G in it. And then he plays another kind of bluesy. I mean, that thing there. Definite blues vibes on the end there, but again, we've got more C melodic minor there with that. That's all sort of approach tone type of stuff. I mean, that spells out F sharp minor. I think maybe that's what he's thinking. Chromatic. So it makes, he's sort of like hinting at the blues. Back to A flat, sort of, you know, F blues. So yeah, lots of really cool ideas in there. If you don't know much about Jim Mullen, Google him. He was in a band in the 70s and 80s with Dick Morrissey called Morrissey Mullen. They were a great sort of early jazz funk band. He was also closely associated with the Average White Band because he's from Glasgow. And of course the Average White Band was a Scottish band, so he was good mates with a few of the guys in that band even before Average White Band existed. So yeah, he's had a host of he's made a host of solo albums over the years. He did some great albums in the 90s in a quartet with Laurence Cottle, Ian Thomas and Dave O'Higgins, but he's done loads of things. He's got an organ trio that he's had going for a couple of decades now with Mike Gorman and Tristan Mayo, I think is his predominantly his sort of regular drummer. So yeah, if you're not familiar with Jim Mullen and you like jazz guitar, check him out now. See you next time. One more thing that I didn't mention in the main lesson, which I think is really worth noting, is Jim Mullen's time feel and his groove. That's one of his real massive sort of big features of his playing. He's such a groovy and such a swinging player. So I think it's worth noting that about his playing. Aside from the cool note choices and all that, he's really just got an amazing feel.